Hello everyone, it's the Motorcycle Muse here, and welcome to my quick video where I explain how to maintain and replace the air filter on your motorcycle. So I decided to do this video because air filter maintenance is one of those jobs or tasks that a lot of people skip on, possibly because they're not aware that your air filter actually has to be maintained. So I'm using my own Honda Shadow VT700. It's a 1980s motorcycle. It's really easy to get at the actual airbox and the air filter itself. So essentially all I have to do is take the side cover off, and then I undo the two screws, which I've just done already, and I can remove the cover from the airbox itself. Inside the airbox I pulled out this air filter element. So it actually comes in three pieces. There's an inner metal piece, so it's like a wire mesh on the inside, and then there's a second metal piece which is kind of like a wire mesh as well on the outside. Now the actual air filter element, or the air filter, the foam air filter, essentially fits in between these two metal pieces. Now generally what you would have to do to maintain the foam air filter is you would have to take it out and you would have to essentially wash it in a solvent which has a high flash point. So that is a solvent that essentially will not go on fire or not be able to set it alight too easily. So something like kerosene would be used. So you would take the air filter, the foam air filter elements, and you would wash it in the kerosene. That would essentially, you would essentially then squeeze out any, you just give it a good squeeze to get all the dirt and excess solvent off the foam filter. You would then leave it to dry, okay, and when it's fully dry you would have to reapply the oil to the filter. And the oil on the filter is essentially what stops the dirt getting through the filter. So you would then reinsert that into the air filter element and put it back in the motorcycle. And on this particular model, it's recommended that you do that every 4,000 kilometers. Now, as you can see here, I actually have a brand new Honda OEM foam filter. Now, the reason I have a brand new Honda OEM foam filter is because when I went to do this job a few weeks ago, I discovered that the foam filter was actually falling apart. It was disintegrating. It was not suitable for the task of filtering the air. It was probably in the motorcycle for a number of years. I'm not sure if it was the original foam filter, but it was pretty old and pretty bad, and it had actually become a liability because it if any of those pieces of foam that were disintegrating and coming off that filter, if they broke off that filter, and they would then get sucked into the carburetors, and there's a good chance that they would start blocking up the jets in the carburetors. Or if they didn't block up the jets, bits of the foam would over time start getting into the engine, and you don't want these bits of foam getting into the engine. I don't know if they'd necessarily destroy the engine or do a huge amount of damage, but they wouldn't be good for the performance of the engine, and they could cause problems. So I've just taken my time to put on this new foam filter. Reason being that I don't want to damage it. If I rip or tear it while reapplying the new foam filter, then it essentially has to be taken off and I have to get a brand new one again. So you make sure that you just be careful putting on your new foam filter. You can then put back on the inner metal mesh of the air filter element, and making sure that there's not a single piece of dust or foam left in that canister or filter element from the old filter, and make sure that it's spotlessly clean. You'll also have seen that I looked inside the air box, make sure that there was no dust or bits of foam. So lots of checks, and put it all back together now, and then get it stick it back into the air box, and I should now have a good healthy air filter element which is now doing its job properly. Now on other motorcycle models you might find that they actually have different filter types, air filter types. It might be a sort of what looks like a folded paper type air filter. That's kind of what it looks like. So there's different types of air filters, and they all have their own maintenance schedule and their own maintenance process. So you should really take a look at the service manual for your own motorcycle. It might not be exactly the same as my own, but I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that your filter has to be maintained, and don't skip that job. So all that remains now is I can just put the side cover back on, and I need to get this I'm just going to start the engine